So right now, I'm sober. I'm currently sober, but I'm hooked on drugs. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, today on Instagram, I did a story and I shared that I was going to my drug dealer's place, my drug dealer's drive through, which is the pharmacy. Because every month I got to pick up my prescription in order to get my psych meds. And the reason I'm telling you this story is because so many people asked what type of pharmaceuticals that I'm on. And so I'm very open and honest about my health and wellness and journey, especially my mental health. So I want to share it with you. So, about 4 years ago, back in 2020, I had my first psychotic episode, which basically means you kind of lose track of reality and you kind of like spin and you kind of hallucinate. And it's almost like the only way I could describe it is it's like a really bad trip on weed, except you're not stoned. Right? So it's not a very pleasant experience, and end up going to the psych ward, the whole, the hospital, the psych ward, not a very fun place to be, but it was part of the experience. And there I got diagnosed bipolar for the first time. And at first I was like, yeah, woohoo, I finally figured out what's wrong with me. And I kind of like jumped on that boat and I thought like, oh, this is the explanation for how difficult my life is. And then over time, I took the pills, I did the thing, and then I didn't like the pills, I didn't like the way they made me feel. And so I stopped taking the meds. And right after I stopped taking the meds, my psychiatrist was like, oh, well, you no longer need me anymore. And so I stopped taking the meds, stopped going to having the psychiatrist, and I was fine until my next episode. Bam, same thing, same experience, just out of this world nuts. Um, but I'll just kind of skip to where I am today. Um, so right now, I'm diagnosed bipolar, and it's so interesting because I did read the statistic where it's like 70% of the people who are diagnosed bipolar are misdiagnosed within their first year. Are misdiagnosed within their first year. So like 70%, I was like, that's a huge number, right? Because it could be this, it could be that. And like everybody's brain is so different. So today, or a couple of days ago, I had a meeting with my psychiatrist and I said, oh, so like people that are bipolar, they have like a certain chemical imbalance in their brain, right? And he said, yeah. And so then I said, okay, well, is there a way to look at that part of your brain so you can tell if it's deficient in X, Y, or Z? Because they had to figure it out somehow. And I was like, he's like, oh no, there's not. I'm like, well, then how do they know that people have a deficiency in their brains with these chemicals? And he just really didn't have an answer for me. So in my opinion, it's like, okay, sure, I could take this on and say I'm bipolar, and this is the reason for all of my havoc, and this is the reason for all of my mood swings or whatever. Or I could dissociate from that and say, listen, I'm diagnosed bipolar. That's what's happening. And I experience emotions like everybody else. But to be honest, my ability to regulate my emotions is very advanced. And I've developed the toolbox in order to make them advanced, right? So I kind of dissociate from the stigma of, oh, people with bipolar, they may be explosive, they may have mood swings, they may even sometimes be dangerous, and I just hold on to the good things, right? There's a lot of positives with what's like approaching the mania, which is like, a lot of confidence, a lot of elevated emotion, and the rest of the things I take on as myself, like I grew the confidence my own self. It's not because of my diagnosis. And anyway, what I want to get at is the whole system works on this idea that there is something that the whole like psychiatry, psych med industry works by like there is something that is abnormal about you, and you need these pills to make you more normal. And you're going to need those pills. And then what happens is your mind gets reliant on those substances, right? Like something is giving you a feed of whatever it is, like, two different types of drugs. Like what I take is lithium and quetiapine. So they're like, you know, mood stabilizers, and they're also antipsychotics. But in my opinion, I haven't seen them change me at all. The only time that I had seen something change is when I first was on the medication, and it made me really sleepy. Like I slept like 18 hours a day, super depressed, gained 20 pounds. It was terrible. First time I've ever had depression. And it was 100% from being overprescribed medication. And luckily, I told my doctor I complained after 3 months because this certain psychiatrist didn't see me until 3 months later, every 3 months, which I feel like is a long time, but they're the doctors. And so after the 3 months of hardcore depression, I lowered my dose and I felt better and I got off of this one medication and then I started working out. I got out of my depression. I tried everything in my power to get out. I did ice baths. I did walks. I did everything in my power to get out of that funk. I worked out every day and I got out of it, luckily. But some people don't. Some people have to subscribe, like, so they subscribe to the idea that they are their diagnosis and they're never going to escape and they need this pill for the rest of their life. And I just don't resonate with that at all. In fact, I really want to say if you say that I am bipolar and I have some, chemical imbalance, then show me. Show me, give me a test. Give me um, an actual like like a scan, a brain scan of my brain, and show me how my brain is different than it functions at a lesser efficiency than a normal brain. Then I will accept it if I do the research and find out that's actually true. But see, what is the issue with this whole scenario is when they say, okay, well, you need this in order to make you feel more normal. And then if you get off of it, that's going to trigger another episode. So you cannot get off of it. And if you do, we have to taper you down very, 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 very slowly in order to get you off. And then that even increases your chances of actually having an episode. So it's almost like they've been programmed to tell people that it's going to be hard if you get off of them. It's going to increase your amount of episodes. And every time you get an episode, things get worse. And like, that's honestly what they've told me. And I don't know if I believe that. I feel like my episodes that happen, they all come from a certain trigger and it's always the same theme. And so I can avoid going through that. Or I can even do exposure therapy that exposes me to my triggers so I work through them. I feel like when I have episodes, it's my body just going through a natural process of releasing. And if I'm able to maintain homeostasis during those episodes without pills, then I've reached my goal. That would be 100% my goal, to be able to see an episode happening and then be like, okay, I feel this. I need to sit with this. I need to move through this. I need to sleep. Because one of the things about like having a manic episode or having a psychosis is you don't sleep. So to be able to stimulate sleep, rest, and then move through it. And the whole goal for me would be able to do that without pills. Now, the reason that I titled this that I'm sober but I'm hooked on drugs is because I literally, like, if I stopped the drugs right now, it would induce an episode. So I have to go along with what the doctors know and what the doctors prescribe me and how they can taper me off. Because if I don't, I found in the past that's not good. So I have to go through this whole process again. And it's slow and it's laborious. And I don't agree with everything because think about it. Psychiatrists have a job if the patient still needs the medication. If the patient doesn't need the medication, they no longer have the patient, right? So the whole thing is self sustaining based off of the patient needing the drugs and needing the support. Support meaning, hey, I'm going to talk to you for 10 minutes and then we're going to keep you on the same prescription. So there's a different energy that comes from a psychiatrist than from a psychologist. A psychologist really dives deep and tries to help you through things, in my opinion. And then a psychiatrist is like, okay, how much drugs do you need? And are we going to stay on the same one? Are you feeling bad? We're going to give you more. Are you feeling good? We're going to keep you on the same thing. that's the energy that I've experienced. And I've had like 4 or 5 psychiatrists, and I don't know, 3 or maybe 5 or 6 therapists. So anyway, um, the reason I'm sharing you this is because number one, there was many people asking me what kind of medication that I'm on, and I'm actually kind of surprised because I'm pretty open and honest about my diagnosis. And the reason that I am open and honest about the diagnosis is because if we're able to share information and be vulnerable about our, mental health, then we can keep growing as a collective. I think we've done a great job over time of being more open and vulnerable with mental health. It's really gone on a rise. But like I said in some of my other videos, like sometimes they're used as an excuse. Sometimes it holds people back. But I feel like it's really great to be able to be honest about it because you never know if there's somebody else in your same going through the same thing that you could help out, that you can kind of like be like a buddy with, that you can experience and grow from and exchange notes. So I just wanted to pop on here and just be fully transparent about my diagnosis and my experience because I know there's so many other people that go through this. And I'm just lucky enough and proud of myself that I have this way of looking at it as though, like, I know that the system, I don't agree with the system 100%, but this is where I'm at and this is where I need to be. And I can only trust that I'm doing the best that I can do and the doctors are doing the best that they can do. And that's it. I can't, I don't want to go pointing fingers, but the system's terrible and the pharmaceuticals are the devil. And like, it is what it is. And to be honest, I was in a place with my last psychosis that I needed to be hospitalized. Like that, to me, it felt like they had the right tools to help me in that situation. So I am grateful. But the whole like, oh, we're gonna pump you full of more drugs, and then it's gonna take a long time for you to taper off. Yes, I want to be patient, and I want to be able to do this process as quickly and as efficiently as possible because I'm willing to work with the symptoms on my own without needing any substances that alter my consciousness and also have an extreme amount of side effects. Luckily, I haven't experienced any of them yet, but some of these are side effects that are more applicable down the road. And the more you take these substances, the more your body is accustomed to these medications, and the more that it could be difficult to taper off them. Or the opposite, it could be easier over time. So anyway, I just wanted to share this advice. And I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not like, you know, I'm not an authority on this. I'm just sharing you my experience so that it could maybe resonate with you and we could all grow together. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a beautiful day. And I'm gonna work through this. And so can you. Much love.